Commander Lyra Vex sat alone in the control room of her ship, the Starweaver. The blue planet filled the large screen in front of her. Earth. Just looking at it made her lip curl with disgust. Computer, zoom in on the North American continent, she ordered. The view changed, showing green forests, blue lakes, and gray cities. Humans crawled across the planet like insects. Lyra had studied them for weeks now. They fought wars, killed each other, and destroyed their own home. They were dangerous and primitive. Lyra belonged to the Zephyrian race, beings far more advanced than humans. Her skin had a slight blue tint that shimmered in the light. Her eyes were a deep violet color that seemed to glow when she was angry. And right now she was very angry. Commander, incoming message from the High Council, the ship's computer announced. A hologram appeared. Council leader Mara's stern face looked at Lyra. Commander Vex, what is your assessment of the humans? Mara asked. They are primitive and violent, Lyra replied. Their space probes have violated our territory 3 times now. I believe they pose a future threat to our people. And your recommendation? Lyra didn't hesitate. We should eliminate the threat before it grows. One clean strike to remove their military capabilities would be enough. Memories flashed in Lyra's mind. Her family home burning. Her parents and brother dead. The Krell invasion force that had seemed harmless at first until they attacked without warning. Lyra had learned a hard lesson that day. Strike first or be destroyed. The council is divided, Mara said. Half agree with you. The others wish to observe longer. Continue your mission for now. We will contact you in 3 more Earth cycles with our decision. The hologram disappeared. Lyra clenched her fists. More waiting while the humans sent more probes into space, coming closer to discovering the Zephyrian homeworlds. Commander, storm approaching, the computer warned. Atmospheric disturbance detected. Lyra checked her instruments. A powerful electrical storm was forming directly above her ship. The Starweaver was in stealth mode, hidden from Earth's primitive radar systems, but these storms could interfere with the ship's systems. Adjust orbit to avoid the storm, she ordered. Unable to comply. Storm forming too quickly. Main engines not responding. Lyra moved quickly to the control panel. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The ship shuddered as lightning struck it repeatedly. Shield failure in sections 3 and 4, the computer reported calmly. Activate emergency landing protocol, Lyra commanded. She strapped herself into the pilot's seat as the ship began to fall toward Earth. The Starweaver broke through the clouds, its stealth system failing as it plummeted toward the ground. Lyra fought with the controls, trying to direct the ship toward an uninhabited area. A vast forest spread out below her. Impact in 10 seconds, the computer announced. The ship crashed through the trees, metal screaming as branches tore at the hull. Lyra was thrown against her restraints as the ship hit the ground and skidded to a stop. For several minutes she remained still, checking herself for injuries. Nothing serious. Zephyrians were stronger than they looked. She unstrapped herself and surveyed the damage. Computer, status report. Main power at 12%. Self-repair systems activated. Estimated time to full repair. 3 Earth-Lunar cycles. 3 months. Lyra would be stranded on this horrible planet for 3 months. She slammed her fist against the wall in frustration. Is the biological camouflage system still working, she asked. Affirmative. At least she had that. The system would change her appearance to look human and help her blend in. She would need to gather supplies and information while her ship repaired itself. Activate the camouflage and prepare a portable communicator, she ordered, and engage the ship's cloaking device. Her skin tingled as the camouflage activated. Her blue shimmer faded to a human pink tone. Her violet eyes remained, though slightly less bright. The ship's external cameras showed her reflection. She now appeared to be a human woman with pale skin and dark hair. She packed a small bag with emergency supplies and a translator device that would help her understand and speak the local language. Before leaving, she checked the ship's location on a map. Western Montana, United States, the computer informed her. Nearest human settlement is 23 kilometers east. Seal the ship and activate full cloaking, Lyra commanded. The door opened, and earth air rushed in. It smelled of plants and soil. Lyra wrinkled her nose at the unfamiliar scents. She stepped out into the forest. The ship door closed behind her and shimmered before disappearing from view. Now it looked like nothing more than a small clearing in the forest. Lyra oriented herself using the position of the sun and began walking east. The forest was alive with sounds and movements that put her on edge. Small animals scurried through the underbrush. Birds called from the trees. Everything was so chaotic compared to the ordered gardens of her homeworld. After walking for hours, Lyra stopped to rest beside a small stream. She drank some water and checked her communicator. The ship's self-repair was proceeding as expected. She still had a long wait ahead. As the sun began to set, Lyra heard a new sound, a vehicle of some kind. She crept toward the noise and found a dirt road cutting through the forest. A green truck was parked on the side of the road. A human woman stood beside it, looking at a map spread across the hood. Lyra observed the human from behind a tree. This could be useful. The human might have information or supplies she could use. Interacting with a human was disgusting but necessary for her mission. She stepped out onto the road, pretending to look lost and confused. The human woman looked up, startled. "Hello there," the woman called. "Are you okay?" Lyra forced herself to smile, though it felt unnatural. "I am lost," she said, using her translator. "My vehicle broke down some distance back." The woman frowned with concern. She wore a uniform with a patch that read Forest Service. Her hair was a reddish-brown color and her eyes were green. "I'm Olivia Mason, forest ranger for this district," she said. "You're pretty far from any main roads. How long have you been walking?" "Several hours," Lyra replied, studying the human carefully. This Olivia seemed cautious but not threatening. "That's rough. There's no cell service out here," Olivia said. She hesitated, then added, "I have a cabin not far from here. You can come use my radio to call for help if you want." Lyra nodded. This was perfect, a temporary shelter while she gathered information. "Thank you, that would be helpful." "What's your name?" Olivia asked as she folded her map. Lyra hadn't prepared for this question. "Lyra," she said, using her real name before she could stop herself. "Pretty name," Olivia commented. "Hop in and I'll drive you to my place." Lyra climbed into the truck, careful not to touch the human more than necessary. As they drove deeper into the forest, she looked out the window and thought about how much she hated this planet and everyone on it. 3 months here would be torture. What she didn't know was that those 3 months would change everything she believed about humans and herself. Olivia's cabin sat in a small clearing surrounded by tall pine trees. It was simple but bigger than Lyra had expected. A large dog ran out to greet them as the truck stopped. "That's just Rusty," Olivia said when she noticed Lyra tense up. "He's friendly." Lyra watched the animal suspiciously. On her planet, they had no such creatures as pets. Animals were either wild or used for specific purposes, never for companionship. "Come on in," Olivia said, unlocking the front door. "You can use the radio and I'll make some coffee." Lyra followed her inside, scanning the cabin with quick glances. One main room with a kitchen area and a sitting area with a fireplace. 2 doors probably led to a bathroom and bedroom. Simple and primitive, but clean. "The radio's over there." Olivia pointed to a device on a desk. "Who do you need to call?" Lyra had no intention of actually using the radio. "I should contact my friend who is expecting me." "Go ahead," Olivia said as she filled a pot with water. "I'll give you some privacy." Lyra pretended to use the radio while actually examining a map of the area that hung on the wall. She needed to know more about her surroundings and how close any human military installations might be. "No answer?" Olivia asked when Lyra stepped away from the radio. "They must be out," Lyra lied. "I will try again later." Olivia handed her a mug of hot liquid. "Coffee? You look like you could use it." Lyra sniffed the drink cautiously. Her species could consume most human foods, though they found them bland and primitive. She took a small sip and managed not to grimace at the bitter taste. "Thank you," she said, remembering human customs of gratitude. "So, what brings you out to these woods anyway?" Olivia asked. Not many people come out this far unless they're hiking or hunting. Lyra had prepared an answer for questions like this. I am studying wildlife. I am a scientist. Really? What kind of scientist? I studied biology myself before joining the Forest Service. This was not good. Lyra hadn't expected detailed questions about her cover story. I specialize in migratory patterns. Of what species? Olivia asked, seeming genuinely interested. Birds, Lyra said quickly. Remembering the flying creatures she had seen, Olivia smiled. That's fascinating. We have some amazing raptor migrations through here. Are you with a university? A private research foundation, Lyra said. Very small and specialized. Before Olivia could ask more questions, her radio crackled. She picked it up and answered, Ranger Mason here. Lyra listened carefully as Olivia spoke with someone about strange electrical readings in the forest. Yeah, the equipment picked up a massive surge last night, the voice on the radio said. Government, folks are asking questions. They're sending a team to check it out tomorrow. Where exactly? Olivia asked. About 15 miles west of your position, near Miller's Ridge. Lyra felt cold fear run through her. That was close to where her ship had crashed. If humans found it, her mission would be compromised. I'll keep an eye out, Olivia said. Let me know if they need local guidance. After ending the call, Olivia turned to Lyra. Sorry about that. Work never stops, even out here. What was that about? Lyra asked, trying to sound merely curious. Oh, some weird electrical storm last night. Knocked out some equipment. Probably. Nothing, but we have to check everything out. Lyra needed to get back to her ship to make sure the cloaking device was working properly. But first she needed more information. You live here alone? She asked. Just me and Rusty, Olivia replied, patting the dog's head. I like the peace. I was in the military before this, communications specialist. Got tired of all the noise and people. Military. This was useful information. Were you deployed in combat? Olivia's face changed, growing more serious. 2 tours in conflict zones. Saw enough to know I didn't want to see more. She shook her head as if clearing away memories. What about you? Family? No, Lyra said truthfully. My family died when I was younger. I'm sorry to hear that, Olivia said, and the genuine sympathy in her voice surprised Lyra. It was long ago, Lyra replied stiffly. Outside, the sun was setting. Lyra needed to find a way to get back to her ship, but it was too far to walk in the dark. Look, Olivia said, it's getting late. You can stay here tonight if you want. I have a spare room. Tomorrow I can drive you to town to get help for your car. This was not part of Lyra's plan, but it made logical sense. She could learn more about humans by observing this one up close, and tomorrow she could find a way to her ship. Thank you, she said. That is kind. Olivia smiled. No problem. Let me show you where everything is. As Olivia showed her around the small cabin, Lyra observed everything carefully. The bathroom was primitive but functional. The spare bedroom was small but clean. There should be everything you need, Olivia said. Extra blankets in the chest, if you get cold. The nights up here can be chilly. Later, after a simple meal that Lyra barely touched, she sat by the window in her room, looking out at the stars. Somewhere up there, her people were waiting for her report, waiting to decide if this planet of humans should be destroyed. She opened her small communicator and recorded a message for the ship's log. Day 1 on Earth. Have made contact with a human female. She appears to be connected to local authorities and has military training. She may have useful information. There are indications that humans have detected something unusual in the forest where the ship crashed. Must investigate tomorrow to ensure ship remains hidden. She paused, then added, The human shows no signs of suspicion. They are simple creatures easily deceived. Initial assessment remains unchanged. They are primitive, dangerous, and unpredictable. Lyra closed the communicator and continued to stare at the stars. 3 months on this planet. It would be the longest mission of her life. In the next room, Olivia sat at her desk looking at her computer. On the screen was a satellite image of the forest with a strange heat signature marked in red, right where her equipment had detected the electrical. Suri. Something had happened out there last night. Something that wasn't a normal storm. And her mysterious visitor had appeared from that same direction, with no car, no equipment, and a story that didn't quite add up. Olivia picked up her phone and dialed a number. "Hey, it's Mason," she said quietly. "About those readings you picked up. I think I might have found something connected to it. Or someone." In her room, Lyra's enhanced hearing picked up the quiet conversation. Her eyes narrowed. Perhaps this human was not as simple as she had thought. She would need to be careful. Outside, clouds covered the stars, and rain began to fall. In the distance, lightning flashed, illuminating the forest for brief seconds at a time. Somewhere out there, hidden among the trees, the Star Weaver continued its self-repair, counting down the days until it could leave this planet behind. Lyra lay down on the bed, not to sleep. Her species needed far less rest than humans. But, to plan, tomorrow would be crucial. She needed to check on her ship, throw the humans off her trail, and continue gathering intelligence, and she needed to determine if Olivia Mason was a threat that needed to be eliminated. Morning came with soft light filtering through the trees. Lyra had spent most of the night alert and planning. She heard Olivia moving around in the kitchen and stepped out of the bedroom. "Good morning," Olivia said. "Sleep well?" "Yes, thank you," Lyra lied. She rarely slept more than 2 hours per night, a normal trait for her species. "Hungry?" "I'm making eggs and toast." The smell of cooking food made Lyra's stomach turn slightly, but she nodded. "A small portion, please." As they ate, Olivia studied. A map spread across the table. "I need to check something in the forest today. I can drop you in town afterward if you want." This was a problem. Lyra needed to get to her ship, not to the town. "Actually, I would like to continue my research. Perhaps you could drop me near where I was yesterday." Olivia looked up, a slight frown on her face. "Without your equipment? I thought your car broke down with all your research gear in it." Lyra realized her mistake. "Yes, but I can at least scout some locations while I wait for help with my vehicle." "Where exactly was your car?" Olivia asked. "Several miles west of where you found me," Lyra said carefully. "Near a ridge." "Miller's Ridge?" Olivia asked too quickly. Lyra sensed a trap. "I am not familiar with the local names." Olivia's radio crackled before she could respond. She answered it while watching Lyra. "Mason here. The team from the government is here," a male voice said. "They've got some serious equipment. Want to talk to you about the area around Miller's Ridge." "I'll be right there," Olivia replied. She turned to Lyra. "Change of plans. I need to meet some people. You'll have to come with me." Lyra felt panic rising but kept her face calm. "Of course." They drove in silence through the forest. Lyra noticed Olivia checking her rearview mirror often. "Your eyes are an unusual color," Olivia said suddenly. "I've never seen violet eyes like that before." "A genetic mutation," Lyra replied, the lie coming easily. "Rare, but not unheard of." Was all Olivia said. They arrived at a clearing, where several vehicles were parked. Men in dark suits stood talking to forest rangers. Large equipment cases sat on the ground. "Wait here," Olivia told Lyra as she got out of the truck. Lyra watched through the window as Olivia spoke with a tall man in a suit. They looked in her direction several times. This was bad. She needed to escape and warn her ship. When Olivia was deep in conversation, Lyra quietly opened the door and slipped out on the opposite side of the truck. She moved quickly into the trees, using her enhanced strength to move faster than a human could follow. Once deep in the forest, she pulled out her communicator. "Computer, give me directions to the ship." A small holographic map appeared, showing her position and the ship's location. She was closer than she had realized. Just over the next ridge. Lyra heard voices behind her. They had noticed her absence already. She moved faster, pushing through the dense underbrush. She reached the top, of the ridge and looked down. The small clearing where her ship was hidden seemed undisturbed. The cloaking device was working. Suddenly a voice came from behind her. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" Lyra spun around. Olivia stood there, not even breathing hard despite the climb. "How? Did you follow me?" Lyra demanded. Olivia smiled slightly. "I grew up in these woods, and you leave pretty clear tracks for someone who studies nature." Lyra tensed, ready to attack if necessary. She could easily overpower this human. "Relax," Olivia said, raising her hands. "I'm not here to hurt you, but I think it's time you told me the truth about who you are and what you're doing here." "I told you." "No more lies," Olivia interrupted. "There was no car. Your clothes have no dirt or tears despite you claiming to walk for hours through dense forest. And then there's your reaction to the government team." Lyra considered her options. Killing this human would be simple but might draw unwanted attention. "What do you want?" she asked coldly. "Just the truth," Olivia said. "Are you connected to whatever crashed here last night?" Before Lyra could answer, a loud crash came from below. Both women looked down to see a group of men with equipment moving through the trees directly toward the hidden ship. "They found something," Olivia murmured. Lyra had to act. The ship's cloaking device was good, but it couldn't hide the ship if they walked right into it. She pulled a small device from her pocket and pressed it. A loud explosion sounded from the far side of the forest. The men below stopped and then rushed toward the noise. "What did you do?" Olivia asked, alarmed. "A distraction," Lyra said. "We need to go now." "We?" Olivia raised an eyebrow. "I don't even know who you are." "And you never will if those men find what they're looking for," Lyra said urgently. "Please trust me." Something in Lyra's voice must have convinced her. Olivia nodded. "This way. I know a path they won't check." They moved quickly through the forest, taking a narrow trail that wound around the ridge rather than over it. Rain began to fall, making the ground slippery. "There's a small shelter ahead," Olivia said as the rain grew heavier. "We can wait there until they give up the search." The shelter was little more than a small wooden structure with 3 walls and a roof, used by hikers during storms. They sat inside, watching the rain. "Now," Olivia said, "tell me who you really are." Lyra sighed. She needed this human's help, at least temporarily. A partial truth might work. "I am not from here," she said carefully. "I am a scientist, but not the kind you think. I am studying your people." "You're with the government? Foreign intelligence?" "Something like that," Lyra said. It wasn't entirely a lie. She was gathering intelligence. Olivia was silent for a moment, thinking. "And what crashed in my forest?" "Equipment. Very advanced. Very secret. It would be dangerous if the wrong people found it. Those men back there were from our government," Olivia pointed out. "Not all governments share everything, even with their own people," Lyra replied. This seemed to make sense to Olivia. "Are you in danger?" The question surprised Lyra. "Why do you ask?" "Because you seem afraid. Not of me, but of something." Lyra looked at this human woman, trying to understand her. On her world, a stranger would be reported immediately, not helped. "Yes," she admitted. "I am in danger if they find me, and so are many others." Olivia nodded slowly. "I don't know why, but I believe you, at least partly." The rain began to ease. Olivia stood up and looked out at the forest. "The search team will be busy with your distraction for a while. We should go back to my cabin. It's safer there than out here." "Why are you helping me?" Lyra asked, genuinely confused. Olivia's eyes seemed sad suddenly. "Because in my life I've seen what happens when people don't help each other. I've seen what fear and hatred do." She looked directly at Lyra. "And whatever you're hiding, I don't think you're here to hurt anyone." If only she knew, Lyra thought. She had come to this planet specifically to assess if humans should be destroyed. "Thank you," she said simply. They made their way back to Olivia's cabin, taking a roundabout path to avoid the search teams. By the time they arrived, it was late afternoon. Rusty greeted them at the door. And to Lyra's surprise, she found herself reaching down to touch the dog's head. Its fur was soft and the animal leaned into her touch. "He likes you," Olivia observed. "Rusty's a good judge of character." Inside, Olivia made hot drinks and brought out dry clothes for Lyra to change into. The simple kindness was unfamiliar to Lyra. On her world, efficiency was valued over comfort. As they sat by the fire, Lyra found herself watching Olivia. This human confused her. She showed kindness to a stranger who had lied to her. She helped without demanding immediate payment. These were not the actions of a primitive, dangerous species. "What?" Olivia asked, noticing Lyra's stare. "I am trying to understand you," Lyra admitted. Olivia smiled. "Good luck with that. I don't always understand myself." Outside, the rain had stopped and the last light of day filtered through the trees. Somewhere in the forest, Lyra's ship continued its repairs. And somewhere far above, the Zephyrian fleet was preparing, waiting for her signal to attack or retreat. For the first time since crashing on Earth, Lyra wasn't sure what signal she wanted to send. The truck couldn't make it all the way up the muddy forest road. Lyra and Olivia abandoned it and continued on foot, fighting against the wind and rain. "This is crazy," Olivia shouted over the storm. "We need to find shelter." "No time," Lyra replied, pulling Olivia forward. "They're already here." "Who's here?" "Lyra, tell me what's happening." They reached the ridge where they had stood a week earlier. Below in the clearing, something was happening. The air shimmered and then the cloaking device failed. The Starweaver appeared, its sleek metal hull gleaming in the rain. Olivia stopped, her mouth open in shock. "What is that?" Lyra didn't answer. She was watching the sky. A second ship was descending, smaller than hers but clearly of the same design. The scout ship. "Come on," she said, pulling Olivia down the slope toward her ship. "Wait." Olivia pulled back. "What is going on? What is that thing?" There was no time to explain. The scout ship was landing beside the Starweaver. "Olivia, please, I'll explain everything, but right now we need to get to my ship before they do." "Your ship?" Olivia's eyes widened with understanding. You're not from a foreign government, are you?" Lyra made a decision. She reached up and deactivated her biological camouflage. Her skin shimmered, revealing its natural blue tint. Her violet eyes glowed brighter. Olivia stepped back. "What are you?" "I am Zephyrian, from a planet you don't have a name for." Lyra held out her hand. "I came here to study humans, to decide if you were a threat to my people." Olivia stared at her, fear and confusion in her eyes. "All this time, I crashed here. My ship was damaged. I needed shelter while it repaired itself." Lyra's voice softened. "I never expected to find someone like you." The door of the scout ship opened. Two figures emerged, tall and with the same blue-tinted skin as Lyra. "My people have come for me, but something is wrong. They're early." Lyra's face showed genuine fear. "Olivia, they may have decided to attack your planet without waiting for my report." "Attack? As in invasion?" "Yes. I need to stop them." Lyra took a step toward Olivia. "I know you have no reason to trust me now, but please believe me. I don't want your world harmed." Olivia looked from Lyra to the ships and back. Then, to Lyra's surprise, she nodded. "What do we do?" They moved quickly down the slope, staying hidden among the trees. As they got closer, Lyra could see two Zephyrian officers examining her ship. "Commander Rix," she whispered, recognizing the taller one. "He's second in command of our fleet. If he's here, something big is happening." They crept closer until they could hear the Zephyrians speaking. "The ship is damaged but repairable," Rix was saying. "Commander Vex must have survived the crash." "Her last report came from this area," the other officer replied. "She still believes humans are a threat. The council has voted. We attack in 3 days." Rix looked around the forest. "Find Commander Vex. She'll want to be off this planet before we begin the cleansing." Olivia grabbed Lyra's arm. "Cleansing? They're going to kill everyone?" "Not if I can stop it," Lyra said. She had to reach her ship's communication system to contact the Council directly. Lyra turned to Olivia. I need a distraction. Something to draw them away from my ship. Olivia thought for a moment, then pulled out a small device from her pocket. Forest Service emergency flare. It'll light up the sky about a mile from here. Perfect. When they go to investigate, I'll get to my ship. And then what? Lyra looked into Olivia's eyes. Then I tell my people the truth. That humans aren't what we thought. That you deserve to live. Olivia held her gaze. Will they listen? I don't know. Olivia activated the flare and threw it as far as she could in the opposite direction. Moments later, a bright red light burst above the trees, illuminating the forest. The Zephyrian officers spotted it immediately. Human activity, Rick said. Let's check it out. Commander Vex may be with them. As soon as they moved away, Lyra and Olivia ran to the Starweaver. Lyra placed her hand on the hull and a door opened. Come inside, she told Olivia. Quickly. Olivia hesitated for just a second before following Lyra into the ship. Inside, lights came on automatically. The control room was just as Lyra had left it, except for some repair work still in progress. Computer, seal the ship, Lyra ordered. The door closed behind them. Olivia stared around in wonder. This is really happening. You're really an alien. Yes. Lyra moved to the control panel. Computer, open communication channel to the High Council. Unable to comply, the computer responded. Communication system still under repair. Lyra hit the panel in frustration. We need another way to stop the attack. Can you contact the main fleet? Olivia asked. Yes, but Commander Rix will have already told them I'm missing. They won't believe a message from this ship without confirmation. It's from me. Lyra paced the control room. I need to get to the scout ship. Its communication system will be working. Outside, they could hear the Zephyrian officers returning. They had discovered the flare was a diversion. They're coming back, Olivia said, looking at the external camera display. What do we do? Lyra went to a storage compartment and removed two objects that looked like small silver discs. These are personal shields. They'll protect us from their weapons. She handed one to Olivia. Press the center to activate it. You're giving me your technology. I'm trusting you with it, Lyra said. Just as you trusted me. They looked at each other, and in that moment, something passed between them that needed no words. Ready? Lyra asked. Olivia nodded. Let's save the world. They left the Starweaver and moved toward the scout ship. Rix and the other officer saw them immediately. Commander Vex, Rix called. We've been looking for you. His eyes narrowed when he saw Olivia. Why is that human with you? This human has helped me, Commander Rix, Lyra replied, and I've learned things about these people that the Council needs to know. The Council has already voted, Commander. The attack begins in 3 days. Then I need to speak to them now. The vote was based on incomplete information. Rix drew a weapon. I'm afraid I can't allow that, Commander. Your last reports confirmed humans are dangerous. The Council has the information it needs. My reports were wrong, Lyra said firmly. I was wrong. The other officer moved to block their path to the scout ship. Commander Rix, she's been contaminated by prolonged exposure to humans. It's a known psychological risk of deep cover missions. I'm not contaminated, Lyra said angrily. I've simply learned the truth. Humans are not the threat we believed them to be. Look at yourself, Commander, Rix said. Protecting a human. This is exactly why we need to cleanse this planet before more of our people are affected. He raised his weapon and fired at Olivia. The personal shield activated just in time, absorbing the energy blast. Olivia looked down at herself in shock. It worked! Run for the scout ship! Lyra shouted. They sprinted toward it as Rix and the other officer fired repeatedly. The shields held, but Lyra knew they wouldn't last forever. They reached the scout ship's door, but it was locked. Commander. Override Lyra Vex Authorization Gamma 69, she shouted. The door opened. They rushed inside as a blast hit Lyra's shield, causing it to flicker. Computer, seal the door, Lyra ordered. The door closed just as Rix reached it. You can't stop this, Vex, he shouted through the door. The attack is already planned. Lyra moved to the communication panel. Computer emergency channel to High Council Leader Mara, Priority 1. The screen flickered, and then Mara's face appeared. Commander Vex, Commander Rix reported you were missing. I'm here, Leader Mara, and I need to report new findings about humans. The Council has already voted, Commander. Your previous reports were quite clear. My previous reports were incomplete, Lyra said urgently. Humans are not the threat we believe them to be. Mara's expression was skeptical. You've spent too much time among them, Commander. It's clouded your judgment. No, it's cleared it, Lyra insisted. She motioned for Olivia to join her. This is Olivia Mason. She has shown me aspects of humanity that we never considered. Olivia stepped forward, nervous but determined. Hello, Leader Mara. I don't know anything about your people or your conflict with us, but I do know that most humans just want to live in peace. Humans have sent probes into our territory, Mara said coldly. They are expanding aggressively. Out of curiosity, Olivia replied. Not aggression. We explore because we want to learn, not conquer. Outside, Rix was trying to override the door lock. We don't have much time, Lyra said. Leader Mara, I beg you to reconsider the attack. Humans have flaws, yes, they fight among themselves, but they also show compassion, creativity, and a capacity for growth that we didn't see before. You sound like you care for these creatures, Commander, Mara said, her voice softening slightly. Lyra looked at Olivia, then back at the screen. I do. I've learned from them. This human saved my life, protected me, even after learning what I am and why I came here. Mara was silent, considering. The attack has been authorized, Commander. It would take a full council vote to reverse it. Then call for a vote, Lyra pleaded. At least delay the attack until you can review my new findings. The door behind them shuddered as Rix attempted to force it open. Send your data, Commander, Mara said finally. I will present it to the council. Lyra quickly uploaded her ship's logs, including her personal observations of the past week with Olivia. A week passed. Lyra remained at Olivia's cabin, and each day brought new confusion. The search teams combed the forest but found nothing. The cloaking device on her ship was working perfectly. Lyra helped Olivia with daily tasks, learning about human life. They chopped wood for the fireplace, tended to Olivia's small garden, and took long walks with Rusty. During these walks, Lyra sent secret messages to her ship using her communicator, updating the self-repair status. 67 days. Until repairs are complete, the ship reported. Cloaking systems operating at optimal levels. 2 months more on this planet, 2 months more with Olivia. You're a quick learner, Olivia said one morning as they worked in the garden. You've never grown vegetables before? Not these kinds, Lyra said truthfully. On her world, food was grown in controlled environments, not in open soil. Well, you have a natural talent for it. Olivia wiped sweat from her forehead, leaving a smudge of dirt. Without thinking, Lyra reached out and brushed it away. Their eyes met, and Lyra felt a strange flutter in her chest. She pulled her hand back quickly. Sorry, she murmured. It's okay, Olivia said softly. That evening, Olivia received a call on her radio. She spoke in low tones, but Lyra's enhanced hearing caught every word. They're expanding the search area tomorrow, the voice said. Whatever they're looking for, they want it badly. Any idea what it is? Olivia asked. Rumor says it's some kind of foreign technology, possibly a satellite or drone that crashed, highly classified. After ending the call, Olivia found Lyra sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. They're not giving up, she said, sitting beside Lyra. No, they wouldn't, Lyra replied. What will you do if they find your equipment? Lyra had been asking herself the same question. I will have to leave, quickly. And go where? Home, Lyra said, looking up at the stars that were just beginning to appear. Olivia followed her gaze. It's far away, isn't it? Your home. Very far. They sat in silence for a while. Rusty lay at their feet, his head on Lyra's shoes. "You know," Olivia said finally, "when I first found you, I thought you were strange, cold, but you're not. You're just different." Lyra turned to look at her. "Different how?" "You see things others miss. You ask questions nobody asks. It's like you're seeing our world for the first time." If only she knew how true that was, Lyra thought. "Can I ask you something?" Olivia continued. "Why do you seem angry sometimes? When you think no one is watching, you look at things with such hatred." The question caught Lyra off guard. She hadn't realized her feelings were so visible. "Lost my family," she said slowly, "to violence. It changes how you see things." "I understand that," Olivia said. "War changed me too." "How?" Lyra asked, genuinely curious. "I used to believe in sides, good guys and bad guys. Then I saw both sides suffer. Both sides lose people they loved. Both sides believe they're right." Olivia looked down at her hands. "Now I just believe in people, individual choices, kindness when possible." Lyra thought about her mission, about the Zephyrian Council waiting for her assessment of whether humans deserve to live or die. How simple it had seemed before she met Olivia. "What if you had to make a choice?" Lyra asked. "To protect many by sacrificing a few." The classic moral dilemma. Olivia smiled sadly. "I've faced it. In war, those choices come up. But I think the mistake is believing there are only two options. There's always another way if you look hard enough." Later that night, Lyra sent her weekly report to the ship's log. Day 8 on Earth. The humans continue to search for the ship but have not discovered it. The self-repair systems are functioning, normally. She paused, then added, "The human female, Olivia Mason, continues to provide shelter. She is not what I expected. She shows complexity of thought and emotion that contradicts our previous assessment of humans as simple and primitive." Lyra stopped the recording, unsure of what else to say. How could she explain the confusion she felt, the strange warmth that filled her chest when Olivia smiled, the growing doubt about her mission? The next day they drove to the small town for supplies. Lyra had been avoiding this, afraid of being seen by too many humans. But Olivia insisted. They needed food. The town was tiny, just a main street with a few stores. Lyra wore a hat pulled low and sunglasses to hide her unusual eyes. "Relax," Olivia whispered as they entered the general store. "You look like you're about to rob the place." Lyra tried to appear casual as they shopped. She watched how Olivia interacted with the store owner, chatting easily about weather and local news. "Who's your friend, Olivia?" The older woman behind. The counter asked. "This is Lyra. She's staying with me for a while, doing research on bird migration." "Well, nice to meet you, honey," the woman said to Lyra. "Any friend of Olivia's is welcome here." As they left the store, Lyra noticed a commotion down the street. Men in suits were showing photos to people. "We need to go," she said urgently, to Olivia. Olivia saw the men and nodded. They put their groceries in the truck and drove away quickly. "They're looking for you, aren't they?" Olivia asked once they were back on the forest road. "Yes," Lyra admitted. "Why? What do they think you've done?" "It's not what I've done. It's what I know." Olivia was quiet for a moment. "Lyra, I've been patient. I've helped you. I haven't asked too many questions, but I need to know if I'm harboring someone dangerous." "I am not dangerous to you," Lyra said. It was true. Despite everything, she knew she could never hurt Olivia now. But to others? Lyra looked out the window at the passing trees. "I was sent here to gather information, to make an assessment." "Of what?" "Of whether humans are a threat." Olivia gripped the steering wheel tighter. "A threat to whom?" Lyra didn't answer. She couldn't tell the whole truth. Not yet. When they returned to the cabin, Olivia was quiet and distant. She unpacked the groceries in silence, her back to Lyra. "I'm not your enemy, Olivia," Lyra said softly. Olivia turned around, her eyes sad. "Then who is? Who sent you here? What's the real purpose of all this surveillance?" Before Lyra could answer, a loud rumble shook the cabin. They rushed outside to see dark clouds gathering unnaturally fast over the forest. "That's not normal," Olivia said, staring at the sky. Lyra felt cold fear grip her heart. She recognized the pattern of those clouds. It was a Zephyrian scout ship entering the atmosphere. "We need to go," she said urgently. "Now." "Why? What's happening?" "Please, Olivia, trust me one more time. We need to get to my equipment before they do." Something in Lyra's voice must have conveyed her fear. Olivia nodded and grabbed her keys. They drove toward the ridge where the ship was hidden. Rain began to fall, heavy drops that made it hard to see. Lightning flashed across the sky, but Lyra knew it wasn't natural lightning. "Whatever you've gotten yourself into," Olivia shouted over the storm, "I hope it's worth it." Lyra looked at the human woman beside her. Worth it? Was anything worth the confusion and pain she now felt? For the first time in her life, she wasn't sure of her mission. Wasn't sure of anything except that she needed to protect Olivia from what was coming. Because somewhere during these days together, the unthinkable had happened. Commander Lyra Vex, who had lost everything to an alien attack, who had dedicated her life to protecting her people from other species, had begun to care for a human, and that changed everything.